diys-by-dar, another challenge, dining room on a dime. This is hosted by Krystal from the Crafty Creech, DIYs, and Furniture Flips, and co-hosted by Reinvented by Maria. We are to take a vintage piece and use what we have on hand and upcycle it to a usable piece that we can put in a dining room. This is my lovely, which is really in pretty good shape. I purchased this for $20, 3 years ago, before I had both my hips replaced and I had plans for it. Well, today was the day for the plans to go through. Here it is. I needed to take that molding off because it didn't match up and it just needed to come off. Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. Veneer, of course, and the back is pretty bad. We're going to take that off and replace. Don't tell my husband I used this piece of wood to do that. Here's the sledgehammer. Let's get that back off. I want to be somewhat careful because I need to use this piece for a template. There we go. We got it off. Now I needed to take the hardware off and the door off. Removing that side molding was quite a challenge. They really had a lot of glue on it, and I knew there would be some repairs involved. I took a putty knife and my hands and tried to remove any of that veneer before I went and repaired it with some Gorilla wood filler. That front molding, of course, I needed to straighten that up. So I took the all-purpose tool and smoking hot. Let's get that off. I'm sanding this down. And I also went ahead then and with some 220, I just scuff sanded the whole piece. Here I am feeling that big area where the wood was peeled away. And I also put some caulk in all the corners just to make it look a little nicer. I went ahead and sprayed it to be a bit quicker with some Boss primer. And all I did was put one coat on. Let me bring you up to speed on where I'm at. I have Dixie Belle's Chalk Mineral Paint in English Ivy. I've had it for a bit when they came out with their color line, and what I've done so far is on my door of the cabinet that has just been primed with one coat. Then I went ahead and just kind of went all over and painted 2 coats with that, and my plan is this is going to go here in the middle. Then each one of these is going to go around the border. I'm going to work that out and get these going all the way around the border. And then I'll see what I can do with some kind of color blending here in the middle. But this is going to be, I'm going to work the basis of my design off this paper and from this door, because the door is the very first thing that you see on the cabinet. So let's go from there. I'm going to paint the back of this cabinet door, and then I am going to start and get this beautiful made by Marley Decoupage paper and the design called Deco on this door. I am using Mod Podge to put this decoupage paper on. It is very nice. It is very robust paper. And you want to make sure you put a moderate layer and don't miss any spots like that. And get that all covered and try to set it down as flat as you can. And I know there is a crease in the paper and you do have to go back and kind of paint and fix that, but they have since changed the way they package it so it doesn't come folded anymore. So that's really great. Set it down and leave it alone. Now, the side border. I decided to cut both sides, right and left, so the top and the bottom was a little more continuous. So being the perfectionist I am, I want the flowers lined up in the middle. So the tape measure is going to come out and I'm going to mark where the absolute center is so I can put the center of that flower there. Now this molding has like a step down. There is 2 steps down and I'm going to need to fit that paper in there. So make sure, you get a lot of Mod Podge on there. And I set that piece on even with the edge. And I did cut this paper because I knew I was going to use it as a border instead of tearing it. Now I'm going to tuck it down into that first groove. I needed to snip that corner because that last groove, the paper would have tore. So I just made a little cut so I could tuck it in because part of that needed to go on the top molding. And I made sure I put a lot of glue on it. And I needed to go ahead and just run some more glue all the way down that top so everything was stuck down nicely. I just wanted the flowers to go inward because it just looks so much nicer. There they are, all 4 sides. I really like it. It's looking good. I needed to mix up a paint color that would go with that kind of creamy white. So I used Dixie Belle's chalk paint for all of my designs in cotton. And I added just a little bit of pine cone to it to brown it up a bit. And started around just to check and wait for that color to dry to make sure it was right. And in the meantime, I used my green again with a little bit of black, caviar black, and went around the whole edge of all the border paper. I went back and started to fill in the white all the way around the flower. Plus, after this was dry, I needed to go back in and draw some portions of those leaves so it would look more natural because they were kind of cut off. And I like to stipple and pounce, and I just used those 2 colors, the English ivy and the cotton that I mixed up. I like it. 3 more sides to go. Let's see where we're at. I've got my chalk mineral paint and that color English ivy, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting on the inside of this cabinet, and it's going to be in some patchy areas, because this is the only container of paint that I have, and I have to do this whole cabinet. So I'm going to get painting on that. When I come back, it should be all painted green. Those are the two brushes I'm using, and I'm not looking for a real solid coverage, I guess, because I'm going to have to try to skimp on the paint. That was part of the challenge. You use what you have at hand, and that's all I've got. There we have one coat, and you can see it's patchy. I had enough to go ahead and do a second coat, and I still had some patchiness. Wasn't liking it. So I'm glad I saved my brushes with green, because a little spritz in them brushes and went around again, and it came out okay. Now I'm mixing up some red that is going to go with the border. I have rusty nail, and I'm putting in scoops of orange paint. And then I also did use terracotta. Not very much terracotta. I work on the floor a lot. Here's a little tip. You have a lot of jars open, you have your paint all mixed up and ready to go. Make sure you put the lids back on, because it is inevitable that you will knock one of them over. And it goes back to my Scottish friend who says, "Ask me how I know." Oh, I love you guys. You have taught me a lot, and life has been fun. Now it is time to stencil. I didn't have a lot of stamps that met this design, so I went ahead and used some stencils, and I have a small natural bristle brush for stenciling, and I will swirl, I will stipple. It just depends sometimes on the shape of the stencil and how intricate the lines are. Now I am going to use the red that I made up in this, and before that I used a blow dryer. Do not use a heat gun, and it's another ask me how I know. I melted my stencil, so just use a blow dryer. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of stipple that in and fill in them leaves around the top, and the result is really nice. I like it a lot. Three more sides to do. Let's check the progress in the shed. I have my decoupage paper on, and I have painted the bottom area with rustic red. All the rustic red that I had. I need to put another piece of paper up there at the top, and I was not liking that color red. It was a little bit spotty. So I decided I was going to go ahead and take the rusty nail red I mixed up and do kind of like a dry brushing just to cover that area in. And I used the biggest brush that I had, and it turned out really nice. I really liked the color. To me, it almost looked like velvet. Time for stencils on the inside. And I went ahead and used that same cotton and did that nice big stencil there. This time, what I was going to put on the edge of the leaves was the color, oh, could I say this? Pistachio. I started stenciling up the side of the rails. I used the same stencil and just taped off a couple portions to make it a little more streamlined to go all the way up both sides. Okay, I'm out here in my garage and it is about 50 degrees out. Oh, I just hate to see this weather come here, but anyway, I need to cut a new back for that cabinet. And I've got the old one on this nice piece of board. You can see that it had a bunch of holes in it, so I really can't use that. So I'm going to go ahead and draw up 2 lines and see if I can cut this out, and we'll go from there. Okay, it is 10:30 at night and I'm trying to hammer this out. I've got 2 coats of primer on my back panel, and here's the front of the door. I've got the back side already. I put 2 coats of poly on it, and here's the front of the door. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 coats of poly on it with a foam brush from Dixie Belle, and I always like to wet my brushes a little bit before I try to use them. And the reason that I do this to the door is when you use chalk paints, it can be, the coating can be fragile, and it really does need to have a whatever top coat you're going to put on it and cure for 30 days for it to be tough. And when I go to put this door back on and whatever I do and what I put it through, I have to put a coating on it just to make sure I don't ruin the work that I've already put into the piece. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just to go over what we did to this door piece was I painted it. I put that beautiful border on with the decoupage paper. I put that beautiful lovely flower in the middle with the decoupage paper, and went ahead and did some blending around it. And the last thing I did was I took a black acrylic pen and I just went around in black to kind of make it stand out a bit more. So I'm going to get the acrylic on and we'll go from there. Good morning, everybody. Sunday morning. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 coats of polycrylic ultra flat on the top of this door for protection. I want to protect this decoupage paper and this painting. I've got this side done already, and I'm just going to do this side because I want to protect the hard work I've put into this. I'm terrible at putting doors back on, dinging, hitting it, and chalk paint is sensitive until you get some type of top coat on it and you let it cure. Over here, the 2 coats of the primer's enough. I need to get the finish coat on there, and then I am ready to go ahead and put, you can see that stencil, put that stencil on to go with that Art Deco design. It's getting cold here in Michigan, but I'm in my craft room, believe it or not. I need to get a video up to show you guys how this turned out, but it's working out really good, and I'm trying to keep it clean. And it's really great to be able to bring something like this in the house and work on it. Daddy's allowed. ran out of green paint. It's been quite an experience, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do with the sides? And I'm glad that I went down the middle with my green. I thought, well, I could do a different stencil down the side, but I thought, what if I just take the same stencil and I use some of this red, and hopefully when I get the back on, it will really pop. Okay, when I get this side completed with the stenciling, I am going to put 2 coats of polycrylic on the top to help give it some protection so I can flip it over, and then the back is just open wood. I want to give it a little protection and seal it a little bit, so I'm just going to use some of that Howard's Feed and Wax on the back side. Putting the back on. That was fun all by myself. I have the back completed. It's always really fun when you're by yourself and you try to do these things. But the back turned out very lovely. I really like the natural wood. So I'm going to turn this around and we're going to see what that inside looks like. Hang on. It is time to get the shelves back in and get this piece staged. There it was when I started. Here it is now. Thank you for watching. Each and every one of you guys make this so worth it for me to continue on. I want to thank Krystal from the Crafty Creech and Maria from Reinvented by Maria for the challenge, and I will get the playlist in my description so you can check out each and every one of us. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.